You don't love cats because they're cute. You love cats because they don't ask too much of you, because they don't need explanations, because they don't punish silence, because they understand distance without interpreting it as rejection. You noticed it early, maybe without words, that cats don't rush toward you demanding proof of love. They wait, they observe, they let you come closer on your own terms. And if you don't, they remain themselves, calm, contained, self-sufficient. That felt familiar. You were someone who learned how to be alone without falling apart, someone who learned that safety doesn't come from being seen too clearly, someone who discovered early on that closeness, unmanaged, can overwhelm, intrude, or cost too much, so you gravitated toward a creature that loves without ownership. But here's the paradox. The same psychological architecture that draws you to cats, independence, emotional containment, selective intimacy, may also be the reason people sometimes feel they can't fully reach you. The thing that once saved you now quietly keeps you distant. And the tragedy is subtle, because you're not cold, you're not avoidant by nature, you're not incapable of love. You simply learned that love is safest when it doesn't demand too much of your nervous system. This archetype is best understood through avoidant attachment, but not in its caricatured form, not the emotionally unavailable villain, but the self-regulating survivor. Avoidant attachment develops when emotional closeness was unpredictable, intrusive, or conditional, when caregivers were present physically but unsafe emotionally, when a child learned that expressing needs created discomfort, disappointment, or subtle rejection. So the nervous system adapted. Instead of seeking comfort externally, it turned inward. Instead of crying out, it learned to self-soothe. Instead of longing openly, it learned restraint. Neurobiologically, this pattern alters the default mode network, the brain's background system responsible for self-referential thought and emotional integration. The avoidant mind learns to downregulate attachment signals quickly, suppressing longing before it becomes conscious pain. You don't miss people the way others do. You don't feel urgency around closeness. You feel safest when connection is optional. Cats mirror this perfectly. They are not submissive attachment figures. They are autonomous, relational beings. They choose proximity rather than requiring it. They withdraw without drama. They reappear without apology. To someone with an avoidant nervous system, this feels like respect. Add to this emotional self-containment, the learned ability to manage distress internally without seeking co-regulation, and you begin to see the deeper pattern. You don't need reassurance. You don't crave constant contact. You value emotional quiet. But quiet is a word. But quiet is a word. You don't need reassurance. You don't need constant contact. You value emotional quiet. But quiet is a word that over time can become isolation disguised as peace. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." This is the invisible grief of this archetype. You are surrounded, you are functional, you are composed, but there is a quiet exile happening inside. Because when you learn early to regulate alone, you also learn to withhold vulnerability. Not consciously, but reflexively. You stop reaching out to others, reaching before you even realize you wanted to. You sacrifice authenticity for emotional stability. You trade longing for control. You choose peace over exposure. And the world rewards you for it. You're seen as mature, independent, low maintenance, emotionally strong. But strength, when overused, becomes a cage. Simple moments grow complex. Letting someone need you feels invasive. Being needed feels like a threat to autonomy. Depending feels dangerous, not because you don't trust others, but because you learned you cannot trust what happens inside you when you do. So you love cats, because they don't pull on the parts of you that learn to stay sealed. This archetype doesn't disappear in adulthood, it refines itself. You might notice it here. In relationships, you are deeply loyal, but emotionally elusive. You show love through presence, not vulnerability. You struggle when partners want more emotional access than you can regulate. In conflict, you withdraw rather than engage, not to punish, but to stabilize. Silence feels safer than emotional escalation. In career, you prefer autonomy over collaboration. You work best alone, thrive without supervision, and resist environments that require emotional performance. In boundaries, you're excellent at setting them, but often too rigid. You protect space so well that intimacy struggles. You're not the only one who struggles to enter. Internally, you intellectualize emotions instead of feeling them. You understand your feelings more than you experience them. In caretaking, you may love animals more easily than people, not because animals are simpler, but because they don't activate attachment threat. These are coping strategies, not personality traits. They are adaptations to a world that once felt emotionally unsafe. Healing begins not by forcing closeness, but by witnessing the pattern without judgment, not asking what's wrong with me, but asking what did I learn that kept me safe. You don't gaslight your independence, you honor it, and gently question whether it still needs to be this extreme. Healing for this archetype is not about becoming more emotional, it's about becoming more permeable. Inner child reparenting begins by allowing yourself to need in small, tolerable doses, letting someone sit beside you in silence, allowing closeness without performance, practicing presence without escape. Shadow work reveals the hidden belief, if I open, I'll lose myself. But connection does not erase autonomy, it expands it. You learn that safety doesn't come from distance, it comes from choice. You don't stop loving cats, you simply stop using them as proof that you don't need anyone. As philosopher Martin Buber wrote, all real living is meeting, not merging, not consuming, meeting. And when you finally allow yourself to be in a relationship, you allow yourself to meet another human the way you've always met yourself, with patience, respect, and quiet honesty. Something shifts. You don't become less independent, you become more whole. You were never meant to be fixed, only understood. And if this spoke to you, if it felt uncomfortably accurate, share it, subscribe, stay, not because you need to, but because choosing connection this time is no longer a threat.